Hello everyone, welcome to our stream today. Thank you so much for joining for our overview on where we currently stand in the Horizons project. Hello everyone, hopefully you can hear me okay as always. If the balance is a little bit off, just do let me know and I'll, I don't know, smash my equipment until maybe it's actually going to work. I have a few little notes I want to make before we get through this. First off, no idea how long the session will be today. We'll just go through it top to bottom, see exactly where we stand, give you an overview of where we currently are. Where we currently are, though, as I see how slowly I can do a nice, that's a nice pan. I'll just kind of randomly move around as I do my intro. This is extremely work in progress to this point. Everything is, we're still many months out. We are definitely, nowhere near release. I don't want to have anyone think this is a prelude to release stream. Nothing like that. This is mainly just to give an update on where we are from, the beginning to end process. Most of the scenes are at least roughly laid out, and we'll see, especially this one we're getting to right in front of the screen as I get to it. 14 has been rough, but luckily thanks to some blueprints, we're kind of getting there, but getting ahead of myself. Generally, this is very much work in progress, and today is just about showing where we've been, where we're going to be going next, give you a general overview of Horizons in Futureport 82. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, hit me in the chat, and I'll do my very best to review everything that I can. Alright. Is that the intro? The entrance? Yeah, that's it. Also, one really important thing is that right now, especially because we haven't even come close to the test and adjust period, you can bump up the voice a little bit, especially because we're nowhere near, complete with the test and adjust period. There's going to be a lot of weird collision between scenes. It's actually pretty remarkable how densely layered and interconnected Horizons is. Like with World of Motion, nearly everything was on the same level. So at that point, you didn't really have any collisions with scenes kind of smushing into each other anywhere near as much as what we're really seeing in Horizons. So that's definitely something that is a bit of an adjustment. It means that the test and adjust period is just going to involve a lot of tweaking and maybe turning off levels when I actually just can't get geometry to fit right. But that's for a much later stage of the project. Why don't we get into it? All right. Hopefully this will go great. There we go. All right, so what we have directly behind me, this is the load area. Load area, you're not really gonna see in this actual scene where we're in this map where I've loaded. It's all of the interior of Horizons, but much like World of Motion, what I'm pretty much gonna do is basically have the queue area and the load and unload, or at least the load area probably in the Horizons, in the main map. And then it's just going to transition into this when you actually board and kind of wrap around the corner. So load isn't really going to be visible in this, but everything else pretty much will. All right, I just have it on normal movement mode, so hopefully this won't be too juddery or nauseating for anyone as I do move around. Actually, let me go back just a little bit. As you can see, the very first scenes, which are going to be the, I don't even know how to really call it. It's sort of like the pre-show of Living Seas, where it has the flying machines, but it's kind of like fading in and out with this weird wibbly effect that Josh Harris did an amazing job of recreating. And that is something that we haven't yet created, and we're going to be working on that. See a question in low efficiency FB82. Yeah, honestly, that would be something that would be really nice to have. What I really would like to have is, especially for Horizons, is because this should be pretty easy. Even if it's densely packed, everything is going to be like scene by scene by scene. So I should be able to turn on and off those pretty regularly. So that'll be nice. Hopefully that'll help with just the overall performance hit, because yeah, it's still a pretty big performance hit with all of the dynamic lights in Unreal Engine 5. In terms of bringing it to VR, William, not really sure right now, mainly focusing on kind of the critical path of the main release, especially because I don't have a VR headset as of right now. So if I ever go to VR headset, it's going to make development a whole lot easier. Yeah, so here we have the very first thing that I developed for Horizons. This was actually created before we even released the Living Seas. Wanted to at least sketch out what Uncle Jules is going to look like. This is even before we had the blueprints for this, which sure would have made this a whole lot easier. So it is what it is, but yeah, generally pretty happy with how this looked. We aren't really sure on where we're going to stand in terms of the characters. At least for right now, I have a lot of the 2D cutouts for a fair bit of these. Much like World of Motion, I think it actually works pretty well as an effect. Of course, we are missing dog and chicken in this. And also, just in terms of lighting, yeah, lighting is one of many things that is definitely not complete. You can see that we don't have the star backdrop at all right now. Mainly been focused on just getting the core layout in and running, and then adding much of the details later on. Around the corner, this black area, I know it looks great on stream. This is where the moon is going to be with the Georges Méliès effect, or video. Not really sure what we're going to do for the video. We'll figure that out, but we're currently developing the actual moon, fully modeled, and should look nice and beautiful. All right, and now we move on to Horizons scene number 6, Robida Flats. This is, I probably should have done research on Robida's first name. I think it was Jacques. Let's go with Jacques. Was an artist in France in the Victorian era, late 19th century. And they did, Imagineering did an incredible job of recreating or just pulling from his materials. As you can see, I don't really have the high-res versions of these right now. I believe we do have those available in the community. I just haven't managed to get the full-on high-res ones, but I have put very low-res placeholders, so it should be a pretty easy transition when we get there. Also, a lot of what you see, apart from the incredible blurriness of all of these, right now is just static. These definitely will be moving, the various like fish-shaped aircraft. You know, you have the spinning tube you can just see a little bit right in the middle of the screen next to the 488 sign, going into the vacuum train thing. So, yep, definitely some work to do here, but in terms of actual layout, it is overwhelmingly done, and those animations should definitely not be too difficult at that point. Definitely looking forward to getting this scene done. I am very thankful for the donation of the backdrop with the Eiffel Tower under construction. Really, really looks beautiful. So yeah, Horizon 6, getting there, definitely some more work to do. And I realize I need to fix that UV because that edge, not looking so great there. But you're going to see a lot of that. Now, what is interesting, and this is actually accurate, is I'm trying to see around that staircase, is kind of directly in the middle of the screen. You can see where it transitions from the black and white backdrop to the Art Deco-y backdrop right behind it. And that's actually what you could see. If you get the right angle on Martin's videos or on the retro WDW videos, you actually will see that it's just that abrupt transition. They kind of tried to hide it back there, but there wasn't any wall. That's just how it's meant to be. What is my favorite scene in Horizons? Good question. It's honestly probably the next one that we're about to get to, Easy Living / Horizons 7 / whatever you want to call it. The Art Deco scene, I think, is absolutely exceptional. That's really why it was the first one I really wanted to create as much as I possibly could. We're maybe 75 to 80% for right now. I mean, even just the railing, like the sun effect on the railing, is absolutely gorgeous and something that you're probably never even really going to see going down into that maintenance area. Truly incredible. Yeah, so we do have the source of the TV. It's like 240p, so it's not exactly high res, but it's better than nothing. Yeah, so here we have the Robo Butler, probably the most famous character in the entirety of Horizons. Got this, I can't remember who, I really should have looked up who did this, but this was just from like Sketchfab, you know, an online model that was freely available. And of course, I will put the creator in the credits of FB82 because he did a really, really lovely job. Looks great. And apparently, right now with the collision, you can even step on. That's great. Perfect. Step on the vacuum. Go for a little bit of a ride. And have the lamp, have the guy staring out into space. You can see the Robida backdrop also back there. What I got to say about this scene, and part of what took so long, so very long with all of this, was we did have a fair amount of the blueprints. So we had like the general ground plan, so the top-down view. And we had some areas of what like the kitchen area looked like. What we didn't have, and what took really forever to get until another set of blueprints dropped, were all of these grates, the Art Deco grates, all along in the windows everywhere. These are what took forever to create. Not only are they just very complicated in a 2D point of view, but the fact that they also curve around walls just took me like just 10, 20, 30 hours to get right. Obviously, some of the UV mapping I still need to work on. Not a huge deal. I think that's reading as glass. Interesting. No? All right, I don't know what's happening there. Anyway, definitely have some work to do on the edge. But yeah, these grates, especially the curving swirls for the staircase one, absolutely wonderful. And yeah, you know, we're joking about it being Hoot Chief experience, but it's dead on. I don't know how I would be able to get so much of the details and the weird angles without the work that Hoot Chief did, not only to take all of those originally, but then to actually publicize it so we would have it available. It's pretty remarkable. So yeah. Anyway, this grate around the staircase, absolutely love it. Very difficult to make curved, but it worked out, I think, really quite nicely. I actually thought I had put the video in. I guess I hadn't on the second floor. Oh well, it's fine. Let's take a look at Bob Zigala. I actually have never tried pronouncing his last name. Bob Z, who is one of our contributors and the main moderator on our Discord, actually created the Chef Robot, did a great job. He has created the arms and everything. I just haven't really added those as of right now. And I'm working on actually adding all of the plates and the just, you know, weird decals for the dirt and everything and the pots and pans. And folk in our Discord are currently, okay, obviously spacing and movement of these will be changed, but working on some of the other just props, because there are just dozens and dozens of props all over this kitchen area. So that's one of the major things that aren't really done here, but all of the fronts of the cabinets are created as accurately as they possibly can. Should all look really, really good when we're finally there. And of course, we'll have the cat with the great gag of him pulling the robot, pulling up the tile and sweeping schmutz underneath it. So yeah, working really good. The background, we definitely have some more work to do. For right now, I'm basically taking it from what Imagineering took it from, and we have some other shots of the entirety of it. Right now, this is more or less just mirrored placeholders that hopefully I'll be able to improve. I don't think you can really, I don't know, from most angles you can't really notice it all that much, but yeah, definitely some work to do on that. Thank y'all, glad y'all are enjoying it. We're kind of getting there on a lot of this. This is probably still the most detailed scene that we have so far in the model. Others are definitely going to be getting there. Also, I think, was it Shaw or 404? Anyway, we also, maybe it was Shaw who actually created the grate up at the top. Again, sorry for not remembering. Happened a few months ago, but also one of our great contributors on Discord who helped a lot back with the C's. Frank, for this backdrop, this was actually just, I can't remember who the artist is. Me not remembering is the key. I'm obviously very well prepared for this stream today. It's actually just, the backdrop was either original source that I've gotten from various people who may or may not really want to be connected with it. Right now, E82 has actually done a great job in cleaning up a lot of these that are publicly available. Others, like this one, I pretty much just pulled from the source because that's pretty much what Imagineering did. So like with everything else, it's kind of varied. So yeah, Art Deco. It's looking really great. Hasn't changed a whole lot since the initial announcement, but I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. Cool. Yeah, I mean, if we do get other narration available, then definitely I can put that in as bonus. We'll talk a little bit later on in the walkthrough about some other potential bonuses that we may do. Let's take a look at Neon City 1. The most obvious thing here is that that's probably for the sea castle. Rocks down at the bottom. That's not meant to be there. That'll be fixed through test and adjust. We also haven't yet cut all the video clips together on each of the 3 clips, but we're definitely going to get there. This, as you may be able to tell, is not as elaborate as what we just saw inside of Art Deco. This and the next scene, though definitely more this one, was a big product of the huge budget cuts where they had to slash, what was it, like $10 million from Horizons' budget when Epcot was going way, way over budget. Still, they pretty much did their best that they possibly could. It's still looking, you know, at least colorful and open, and it's definitely a memorable scene. Doesn't necessarily look like a budget cut unless you know there was quite a budget cut. We did have a blueprint for this, which is why I know what all these weird angled bits at the bottom look like. And those are exactly as they would have appeared, except not embedded in rock. Let's take a look at Neon City 2. This is one that we have a ton more work to do. We recently have gotten a bit more in the way of blueprints, but when I first created this, we had nearly nothing. We basically had the Astro Burger, I think it's called, up in the dead center of the screen, the backdrop, but all of the artwork, all of the 3D modeling, we're going to have a lot more to do with this, so this is going to be a major focus in the next couple of months. So, you know, very TBD, but most importantly, at least right now, you can look down on the vehicles, which I will be animating, just to make sure they do flow appropriately. All right, next we're going to go to something that isn't very interesting yet. If anyone happens to have, for whatever reason, the full source for the IMAX film, I know we can pull it from some of the videos, but we're probably just going to end up like recreating for the two major IMAX screens. Unsurprisingly, right now, there's not going to be a whole lot. Yeah, so is the ocean scene? I believe the ocean scene is directly on the other end of this. We'll actually be able to see kind of this scene as we move around. Because, again, I don't have a lot of the walls kind of in there ready to go. But yeah, it's amazing how everything is just jammed together. All right, now we transition into the other screen. Again, not really a whole lot going on here. So let's move forward to the scene that has completely driven me nuts. Luckily, thanks again to E82. Do I have that right? Yeah, whatever. Thanks to E82, we do now have blueprints for this scene, which eyeballing was driving me completely insane. But it's actually a little bit higher than it should be. I just roughly placed this about a half hour ago. This is the Nova Cité urban habitat scene. So you enter and you see the ramp going up. You have a little garden down below that's right now just a fall to your doom. You have the cool backdrop and the back that actually is also this one. No, I think we do have one that is currently being cleaned up, but this I think is just a paste from what I found online. And otherwise, we have the couch in. The couch was one of the more recent things that I created. The glass effect isn't working super great, but you can see that we have the table, like the dining room table. We have the theremin created, not really from blueprints, more from just some concept art. And it's coming together. This still has a lot of work to do, but at least having the ground plan makes it so much easier for me to actually be able to create. This black wall is going to be a little hydroponic garden area where we transition into the other side. And this is what's also crazy about Horizons, is because everything is so densely put together, you really can see it from all sorts of different angles. So you can see from here all the way into that staircase. So we're going to have to just be really sure that all those sight lines are really maintained. So the IMAX video, is it possible to recreate? Yeah, it's absolutely possible. I mean, a lot of it isn't necessarily complex. Like, I feel the Universe of Energy videos would all be way more difficult because those are really specialized. But really, a lot of the videos in the IMAX, kind of just there, ready to go. It's just going to be, you know, difficult, but definitely possible. So this is the other part of the hydroponics, where you're going to have 5 or 6 different kind of plant towers that will be just over this grassy area, just on the little balcony. So they'll have the balcony railing to create. Now, speaking of weird sightlines, let's get to the desert habitat scene. We're going to rotate over, and as I kind of walk through, you can see that it doesn't necessarily work amazing in terms of the kind of forced perspective with the the plants in the background. There is a lot of work I need to do to actually subdivide each of these because they're not just solid rows. Each of them are like their own little square. So I still have to do that, and we're going to apply a texture to it so it looks a little bit better, and we'll have the harvester over it as well. So there's definitely a lot of stuff we need to do, but it is pulled directly from blueprints. Thank God we had blueprints for this one, because otherwise this was going to be really, really difficult to eyeball. The actual stonework I'm pretty happy with. I'll still make some tweaks, but I think that kind of helps the overall effect, although I'll probably need to add more on this right-hand side just to continue the effect a little bit. But E82, Josh Harris, again, did an amazing job in cleaning up this backdrop, and that is looking spectacular. How about this reflection? Love the reflection on the metal as well. And assuming this doesn't break, oh, unfortunately it's not letting us through, but a little bit of an ability to walk through. It is not going to be compatible with Smellorama, but you can provide your own oranges, which I definitely would recommend. And here we have some more Hoot and Sheaf. I don't think there's any collision on that, so I'm not going to test my luck. Cool. All right. So scene 15, 16, 16. Definitely coming along. There's like a TV or a computer screen I need to put in here. I did model the orange juice because, of course, orange juice. And there's just a lot more props and some characters I need to have. But, we're kind of getting there. Getting the core layout of the space was, again, the major goal. Then heading down to scene number 17 and 18, or at least scene 17, A and B, I can't remember the exact numbering, is where we get further into the desert, and this is actually doing pretty well. Texturing, we still have some work to do, so each of these has some pretty remarkable, just really specific detailed concept art that I was lucky enough to get from an anonymous source, which just looks at just how every bit of this was designed so clearly and intensely. So this like reheater thing that appears against the far wall, that is pulled directly from the concept art because you can barely see it in any of the photos. So that's looking quite good. You have where the plates, like the dishwashers, I think, are up here against the wall. You head over, and here you have like the kitchen unit. This will, what's above the orange is going to also extend from the wall. That's one of the things that was animated. And a few other things. There's a piece of wall art we need to have in this exact corner as well. So definitely some more work to do here, but just getting the actual layout of the angles with this weird octagonal shaped structure, that was quite an effort. So I'm glad with where we currently are. And this is also modeled directly from the concept art. So that screen is meant to be a swivel, basically just the way that if you have your smartphone with your recipe, exactly what they were going for. Makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, so luckily with the harvester moving lifter with that, yeah, it's going to be annoying, but that is one thing that we do have blueprints for. So at least I have a whole lot more guidance than I would have otherwise, which is pretty nice to have. Yeah, 17A, coming along. 17B still has some ways to go. The video quality for this isn't exactly amazing, but may just be what we have to go with. These are actually going to be a whole lot harder to recreate than kind of the stock footage of IMAX. So some ways to go. Looks like the rock is also getting in the screen. It's fine. That happens. But yeah, obviously you need to work on the computer screen, and we have to build like the couch and the seats and all of that. But we'll get there. Let's do an overview for these two scenes as a whole. Not bad. I like how we're basically chasing the actual audio from the background music, and I think we're now falling a little bit behind. But let's take a look into Sea Castle. This is also was created without any blueprints whatsoever, and you can probably tell I need to go in and just clean a lot of it, but actually it's looking kind of accurate, all things considered. We're kind of getting there. We have the great backdrop, which has been cleaned up, looks really, really beautiful. Very happy with that. I'm extremely unhappy with the bevels, so I need to fix all the bevels on that, but that's pretty much just my problem. Then we have, I haven't tried the collision on this. Okay, this should be working. Then we get into the lower level. You will be able to see the C sub in the middle of the circle, right in the center. And one thing I don't currently have, I think I had it, then I had to remove it as I readjusted, is the gray wall that we're looking straight ahead. Actually has some cutouts in it. Just from going on the ride a whole bunch when I was a kid, I don't think I ever realized that this was all one continuous unit in Sea Castle, where you can actually see all the way through basically to the vehicles on the other side, because you can see the entire undersea resort area and the people eating at the restaurant. They are reading the newspaper or their tablet, so that will also be there ready to go. But without blueprints, it was kind of tough to just get it all in. Something that still is going to require a bit more work. I doubt there would be a Spanish dub because, I just don't think we really have that available, unfortunately, nor do I have any idea how to do that in Unreal. One of many things I have no idea how to do on Unreal. All right, let's take a look down. One thing I haven't, well, many things I haven't built, but one specific thing I haven't built yet is there's actually like this curved line circle motif thing every, I don't know, 6 to 10 feet that covers this entire area like you're in a clear glass tube when you're undersea. And I think it actually goes into the outer space one too, which is just nice, a subtle little thing to just show that you're not just in normal air at this point. Still need to build that, at least that'll be a pretty easy effect. I think at this point I'm getting closer to having this right, but now that we have some better blueprints, this is something that may end up being entirely rebuilt. I think the angles may be a little bit screwed up, but we will work on that. This is one area where you can kind of see where the rock work is. I know it's dark on YouTube. There's some rock work by the third window. And this is one where getting this fit in below the desert habitat and just making all the angles work is and will continue to be a major, major headache. Huge difficulty just to get it all whacked directly in that angle. Also very difficult, and I haven't installed the video. Thought I had, but I guess I hadn't installed the video of what we have in terms of the scuba divers. So that's going to be against the back wall. I know it gets kind of dark here as we're undersea. It's like returning back to the living seas. And I've sketched in, we don't have the underwater harvester in there yet for the undersea industry scene, but we're getting there. The backdrop looks great. Again, courtesy of E82's cleanup. And yeah, a lot of rock work as we rise back up. So we are going to jump back up, and then we're going to get into Brava Centauri. Here we have the star backdrop. We actually have video, which has been sourced. Very, very happy to have this. Of pretty much source video. These look gorgeous. Of the Alpha and Bravo and other Centauri space stations, I guess. They're looking absolutely beautiful. Now, the star effect actually will continue kind of curved down, so it will be far more panoramic, although from the actual moving vehicles, you may not really need to notice it all that much. I also have recently gotten blueprints, rough blueprints, but blueprints for the truss work and the little spacecraft thing that's also going to be available right here. And yeah, the video actually spins. Apparently I need to cut it down because it's just, the video is skipping a little bit, so I can fix that. But yeah, it's great to have that actually available in there. One of these really should be under construction, but not sure if we're going to get around to really building that, especially because the video just kind of looks so good. Another thing that I more or less eyeballed before we got the blueprints, I'm not sure if I'm going to update it, but it's looking pretty good. We have the airlock along with the it's not the sea cab, I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, with the outer space vehicle, that the shuttle, yeah, to go between these. And yeah, generally pretty happy with this. The lighting, in some cases, it looks really saturated, and other times it looks like pure white light. Another thing we can actually work on, but I don't think the shuttle itself is incredibly accurate, but I think it pretty much gets the point across. I'm generally happy with how it ended up looking. Bob, if you get a chance, assuming YouTube will let you, do you mind seeing if you can put a link to the Discord? It used to be discord.futureport82.com, but the website's pretty janked up after Google sold to Square, so I haven't had a chance to really go in and fix all that. But we can give you the link at the end, and I'm also happy to post that to the socials after. Anyway, airlock scene, looking pretty good. Very small, but a lot of detail in this one section. Next, as we transition into the actual space station itself, another source video that we were anonymously given looks incredibly, incredibly pretty. So happy with how this all looks. Can't remember if there's actually a 3D scene in front of this, but definitely have not built it yet. And then one of the three Brava Centauri scenes are incredibly complex the way that they were built. This, along with Art Deco, some of the just trickiest work that we had everywhere across the system. It's pretty wild. So here we have 27 as we get into health and recreation. Recreation, not recreation. We have, I think it was DFG that created little keypad imagery. And there is another, this is right now mirrored in terms of graphics. A lot of graphics in Brava Centauri are still TBD. But yeah, you'll have more of like the body effect on the body scan. But it is definitely looking incredible. I'm so happy with how Brava Centauri is looking. These are also probably just placeholder videos for right now, because they don't last terribly long. And then we have scene 28. This is the one with Winnie the Pooh / the bear and the family and the kid who's losing his boot. And also very, very happy. We definitely had some blueprints for this, but a lot of it is really roughly eyeballed. And the blueprints, it's so complicated. This scene was so complicated to build, even with the blueprints that we had, just because of all the angles, and everything has a center point, but a lot of it is weird forced perspective. Yeah, a lot going on here. Actually, I think there should be more of a space station window or a spacecraft window in the center that's not appearing, but that will be built as well. And then we have crystal manufacturing. We actually do have 2 more of the crystal build orb things I still need to build out that I just missed in the original blueprint. So that'll still be TBD, but otherwise it is looking quite good. Also need to work on just a better kind of transparency effect for the crystals themselves. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's looking pretty good overall. And Spencer, from when not working on Living Seas, my buddy from Living Seas, actually did recreate and vector the Brava Centauri Crystal Lab icon as well. And that looks really beautiful. All right, and pretty much finally, we get to the birthday party scene. This, first off, lighting is very low, so I'll just talk through it. Yeah, this was extremely complicated to build. It's one where I actually ended up tagging Tom Morris on a message saying, why is everything so complicated inside of this park? The panels you can kind of see, I'll point over here, the mauve pink panels on each side are... I wish the lighting was better, but is what it is. Each of them have different spacing, different angles for the corners. It's all way more complicated than you would ever think it needs to be. Pretty wild. Then talk about what will be coming next. We have our descent back down to the Choose Your Tomorrow, and this is absolutely wedged in there. Probably the next major thing I'm going to build, if not this weekend, over the next couple of weeks. And it's where you pretty much have the preparation for Choose Your Tomorrow as it goes through the 3 different scenes in that tiny little area. And then, not much more here, but we do have the star effect just as you're about to start choosing. Then, this is where you would start. You can see it's kind of a semicircle-ish effect. This is where you're really going to start actually seeing your video. Only takes about 30 seconds to pass through here. Not a whole lot I'm going to need to build other than the actual effect to start the video. And then we head to the exit. So yeah, that's where we are. Couple months of work, several months still left to go, but that is Horizons. And while in this I don't actually really have it, I don't think I have any of the unload. Maybe I do? I honestly can't remember. There we go. Cool. All right, I do have this in here. Right now, we don't really know whether we're going to do the GE exit effect post, what was it, 85, 86, whenever they replaced this gorgeous mural. which sucks that it's gone. But yeah, we're not really sure if we're going to rebuild that, but at least for right now, we're definitely going to have this. It is mostly done. I do have some more materials that Josh has created or has provided, which is nice. So I can just make this a little bit more accurate as well. And yeah, as Bob says, there are going to be so many opportunities for Futureport kiosks and like a stretch goal in the dream version I have for this, because I do have so much unbuilt concept art. I would absolutely love to be able to just have future choice kiosks where you can rifle through a lot of what they wanted to build, and either due to budget or just choosing something other and different, they didn't really get a chance to build. So that would be the ultimate goal. We'll see really how that goes. Thank you all for joining me today with our walkthrough of Horizons. As always, follow me on Blue Sky is my main site at this point. I'm also on Twitter, former Twitter, and a little bit on Facebook as well. Yeah, so hope you enjoyed this view of an optimistic future, and I will talk to you all again soon. Bye, everybody.